Marcus Rivers didn't become a legend because of talent. He became a legend because he never stopped training. Even after losing everything, even when the whole world said he was done, he trained alone with no audience, no sponsorship. Because for Marcus, being an athlete was never about the applause. It was about discipline. It was about pushing past the impossible. It was about beating himself, and he did beat himself. Today, Marcus Rivers is the mindset coach behind some of the world's top athletes, the name behind world records, the man billionaire CEOs call when the pressure hits, the once broke athlete who wrote the country's best-selling book on peak performance. And it all started in a dark room with a mattress on the floor and one decision in his mind: I will win. If you want to understand how he got there, stay with this story till the end, because this story starts where most of them end. Before the fame, before the books, before athletes around the world started quoting his name, Marcus Rivers was broke. Not emotionally, not metaphorically. Actually broke, no money, behind on rent, sleeping on the floor with a towel for a pillow, depressed, isolated, body still, mind racing. Everyone else seemed to be moving on with life. But Marcus was stuck inside his. Friends, gone. Family, exhausted. And he was exhausted too, but not from fighting. Tired of thinking about fighting and never getting up. Tired of planning and never taking action. The next day started like all the others. Silent, slow. But something changed that day. No one knocked on the door. No messages came in. But inside him, a spark. Tiny, weak, but real. Marcus didn't know what to do. But he knew what he couldn't accept anymore. Being a nobody. So he did the only thing he could do. He got up. His body ached. His mind pushed back. But he got up, and in that exact moment, the story started to change. The world moved on. Nobody noticed. But that day, Marcus Rivers started training again. No more access to a gym. No equipment left. All he had was a cold floor, a stiff body, and a mind way too loud to rest. His workout? 5 push-ups, 10 jumping jacks, 3 minutes of jump rope without the rope. Ridiculous. But for him, it was everything. Because it wasn't about building muscle. It was about not losing his soul. He was sweating more from embarrassment than effort. He imagined neighbors hearing his footsteps, imagined their laughs. But he kept going, put his phone on airplane mode, closed the curtains, and got to it, arms shaking, lungs burning, thoughts sabotaging every second. What's the point? This won't lead anywhere. You're not that guy anymore. But deep in his mind, one answer echoed, I'm still here. Day 2, his body hurt like he'd been beat up. Day 3, he could barely get out of bed. But even then, he got up, and every drop of sweat was a declaration of war, not against others, against his weaker self. He didn't train expecting results. He trained because if he stopped, he'd start dying inside again. This wasn't motivation. It was urgency, what most people call a fresh start. Marcus called survival. Because here's what most don't get. The training isn't physical. The training is spiritual. Each day he earns something no degree can give. Self-respect. And when nobody's clapping for you, when nobody's posting about you, when nobody asks how you're doing, respecting yourself is already a miracle. The body can handle it. The pain passes. But what really breaks a man is the voice inside his head. Marcus Rivers knew that because every day while he trained, he heard it. You're wasting your time. Nobody's going to see this. You're never going to be anyone again. And the worst part wasn't hearing it. The worst part was some days he believed it. His inner voice knew exactly where it hurt most, knew which memory to pull, which shame to poke at. And when the sweat dripped down, the doubt rose up. He'd ask himself, what if it's true? What if this is just some empty burst of hope? There were days he stopped halfway through a workout, looked down at the floor, and cried. This wasn't some movie scene. This wasn't motivation. This was emotional survival. But one thing was different. He'd come too far to quit now. And even with that voice screaming at him to stop, he talked back. Shut up. Low, whispered, sometimes voiceless. Shut up. And he kept going. Because that's what athletes do. They train through pain. They run with doubt. They get up even when they don't believe in themselves. Marcus didn't need a crowd. He just needed to shut that voice up. And every rep was a slap in the face of doubt. Every workout, a punch to insecurity. Until one day, the voice got quieter. It didn't vanish, but it respected him. Because even it understood, Marcus wasn't going to stop. Years passed. The world changed. And so did Marcus. But not just on the outside, on the inside. The man who once trained alone in a cramped hallway was now speaking to packed auditoriums. The guy who could barely get out of bed now woke up at 4 a.m. to run before the sun came up. The ex-depressed, broke, forgotten man was now being called on by pro athletes, CEOs, and top-level leaders, not to motivate, to teach real discipline. And it wasn't just because he made it. It was because he failed, because he fell, because he bled. And even then, he kept going. He became the author of one of the most read performance books in the US, got invited to coach Olympic teams, and most important of all, he finally got recognized for what he had always been, an athlete. Not because of a jersey, not because of a team, because of how he lived. Marcus became living proof that discipline beats talent, training beats time, and self-respect beats anyone's opinion. Today, he doesn't have to yell back at his inner voice anymore. They walk side by side, because even it knows now, Marcus won. Marcus Rivers wasn't chosen. He wasn't born ready. He didn't get lucky. He had one thing, a decision to get up when he didn't feel like it, to keep going when everything screamed at him to stop, to show up day after day doing what no one else could see until the world had no choice but to notice. What he built didn't come with applause. It came with silence. It came with pain, with consistency, with training. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to beat the world. You just have to beat yourself. The lazy version, the cowardly version, the version that keeps putting things off. Marcus beat every one of those versions. And because of that, he beat everything. So now the question isn't, can you? The question is, will you? Because the truth is simple. If Marcus Rivers did all this starting from rock bottom, so can you. But only if you're willing to pay the price. And that price starts today. It had been almost 2 months. Marcus had been training every single day. His body was changing. His routine was starting to feel like a real life. The inner voice, quieter now. But then everything fell apart. It happened like it always does. No warning, no reason. A bad night's sleep. A message that hit a nerve. A doubt that crept back in. And the next day, Marcus didn't train just for today. But today turned into 2, then 3. His energy vanished. His appetite too. His mind took control of his body again. And in less than a week, it felt like nothing had ever changed. He looked at himself in the mirror, slumped shoulders, empty eyes. Everything he had been building felt far away again. Shame kicked in. Guilt followed. And then came the most dangerous thought of all. Maybe I wasn't meant for this. But that's when something different happened. For the first time, Marcus didn't destroy himself for failing. He accepted it, took a deep breath, sat down on the floor, and thought, falling doesn't erase the path. It just delays it. The old Marcus would have used that fall as an excuse to quit. But that Marcus was gone. And that's when he did what real athletes do. He started again. Not out of anger, not out of motivation, out of maturity, because true progress isn't about never falling. It's about getting up differently. After the fall, Marcus came back different. No more rushing. No more chasing the idea of making it fast. Now he got it. There is no finish line, only the path. And if the path is tough, then so be it. Marcus was ready to be tough too. He stopped counting days, stopped wondering when results would show up. He just woke up, trained, and went to sleep. Every single day, he became the routine. Washed clothes while holding a plank, brushed his teeth doing squats, read books lying on the living room floor, sweating with a sore shoulder. He stopped training for goals and started training from identity. It wasn't about becoming someone anymore. It was about going back to who he always was. That kid no one noticed, but who always gave it his all. That guy who, even when broke, still had the soul of an athlete. Marcus became a machine, but not the flashy kind. The kind no one sees but changes everything around it. He became obsessed with the process, with the right kind of pain, with the silence of discipline, with the strange joy of doing what no one else wants to do. While others were posting videos, he was training in secret. While others were talking, he was breathing. And every day he whispered to himself, one more, that's it. One more workout, one more day, one more step. And that's when he realized results are just a side effect. The real addiction is the path. Change doesn't send a warning. It just shows up. And on a random day, Marcus noticed it. It wasn't in the mirror. It wasn't on the scale. It was in his eyes. He walked past a window, caught a glimpse of his reflection. And for the first time in a long while, he liked what he saw. Shoulders more squared, posture more solid, eyes more alive. It wasn't about looks. It was about identity. And then things started happening. A friend asked, dude, you seem different. What's going on? A stranger on the street stopped him. Are you a trainer or something? At work, someone said, man, I wish I had your discipline. Marcus smiled on the inside because no one knew. He built it all by himself. No team, no followers, no coach yelling in his ear. Just him, the pain, and the training. That was the first real win. No trophy, but full awareness. He knew who he was becoming. And the craziest part, he wasn't even halfway there yet. But for the first time in years, he believed it was possible, believed the fame didn't matter, believed the money wasn't the point, The real victory was earning back his own respect. And with that, Marcus became dangerous, because a man who respects himself stops accepting just any kind of life. Marcus never set out to teach anyone. He just wanted to feel whole again. But the truth is, when someone truly transforms, they start changing others without even trying. It started with a friend. Dude, how'd you get back into training? Then another. I've been trying to wake up early like you. It's actually working. Then a random message from a stranger. I see you running every day. It motivated me to start too. Marcus didn't call himself a mentor. He didn't claim to be an example. But he knew people were feeling the impact, because no one can sustain change that long without the world taking notice. And the craziest part? He was still in the same broken down neighborhood, same apartment, same beat up sneakers. But now he had something almost no one has, real authority, the kind that comes from living what you preach. And when he started sharing his journey, it wasn't with catchy phrases. It wasn't with magical promises. It was with simple truths. Wake up on time even if you got no reason. Train even when you don't feel like it. Finish what you started even without applause. And the people listening, they felt it, because it didn't come from books. It came from scars. And slowly the world began to see Marcus differently. He wasn't just the guy who bounced back anymore. He became the guy who teaches others not to sink, not with shouting, not with viral videos, with example, with presence, with consistency. And that's when Marcus discovered the greatest victory isn't winning alone. It's opening the path so others can win too.